Hello.
Welcome, welcome. We'll get started in a bit. Hope everyone's
Hi.
enjoying week one.
So far, so good. CTR is a little slow with parts.
All right.
So,
It is 6 o'clock. Giving a little bit for people to file in, but as usual, this meeting is being recorded. I'll ask like every time, just keep your questions towards the end unless they are absolutely like need to be asked right then. I don't think there should be any of those today. Just so that way we keep the make the recording really easy to post and not have big um, lapses in the middle. But all right, let's go ahead, I guess, and we'll just jump right in. So welcome. It is the season now. It is January. It is Reefscape. We all have way too much PVC, and we're getting ready to play kickball, and it's amazing and so much fun. Um, Starting with the season, we'll be doing these twice a month. Instead of monthly. So there will be another one, I believe. Let me grab the date here. Yeah, January 22nd. So 2 weeks from now. And we'll be doing these twice a month going forward for the season here. So today, a lot of things. None of them are really long, but we'll be just going over upcoming deadlines, model of play stuff, advocacy day, volunteer needs, all of these things. I'm not going to read them all off. And then at the end, time for questions and then like open discussion if anyone wants to talk about or has questions that they want to get the community's feedback on for like the game and robot stuff and am I doing something crazy kind of things that we all have. So upcoming deadlines. The Q&A open today. That's not really a deadline, but it's an important thing to know. They'll be answering questions every day. I was just opening it a bit ago, and there was already quite a few answered questions, so that's great. So be sure to kind of keep an open eye on that. If anything's really important, it usually gets included in a team update later on. But there's clarifications in there that won't end up in team updates that should keep an eye on. First choice round 2 is open right now. It closes in a little under a week. So take a look through there, use some of your points. You don't have to use all your points right now if you don't want. There will be a like open period after this, after round 2 closes, where you can just go in and use your points right away for specific items that are still there. This is still the lottery system kind of deal, just like round 1 here. So put your preferences and yeah, way better stuff this round. Always is. Round 2 is always the better one. Digital Animation Award, if your team does that, is due in a little over a week, January 16th, so next Thursday. So make sure you submit that. For additional event registration fees. So if you're going to a second event or a third event or a fourth event, if you're, one of like the 3 teams that does that, those are all due January 22nd. So make sure you've got your ducks in a row there, and get those paid so that you can still hold your place for those events. The advocacy day registration closes January 24th. We'll have a slide specifically on that in a moment. But encourage you and some of your students to all come join the rest of First Wisconsin at Advocacy Day down in Madison to help continue getting that DPI money that I saw Laura post today, that it looks like it's starting to trickle down. It looks like this year teams got $4,300, almost $4,400. So we still use the whole thing. And so we could always use more, and Advocacy Day is one of the ways that we really push that. After that, Woody Flowers and Dean's List Award applications are in February. Everything comes at you fast, so I basically put everything here outside of like your competition is on this day. So it's the build season. You guys all know this, but those things will be here before you know it, along with Impact. Impact is a week later, so make sure your teams are just making steady progress on all these things so that you're not panicking 2 days before, like I always am. I think that's all the upcoming deadlines I could come up with or think about or saw on the list. There are a couple other events going on that I'll have things here for, but we'll jump into the very exciting and exhilarating model of play update. The update is there's no update. It's important that I put this in here so there was no question about it. Unfortunately, on here, I'm going to let Jeff in because he was the one who asked me about this specifically recently. Nothing, no movement since December. Right now we're kind of just in a holding pattern while we wait for the yes or no, and if it goes in a certain direction, we will have resources ready for you guys. But right now it looks like don't expect anything until at least February. If that changes, we'd love to tell you right away. We'd love to have that information ourselves, but we'll get that to you as soon as we are able to. Now, like taking 10 steps back to Advocacy Day, Tuesday, February 4th, starts at 8:30 in Madison. There's signups you can do in person or virtually. I don't know if Emma's here and wants to talk about it, or Renee, if you want to talk about anything specific about Advocacy Day.
Sure. Registration closes on January 24th. Please make sure that you have all of your team members signed up, registered, ready to go. We will be placing our meal orders at that time. This year it's a little bit different. We are going to try to go with a Jimmy John's order, like a bulk Jimmy John's order. It worked really well last year for those demoing at the Capitol. And so we're going to see if it also can work for, moving from the venue where we're doing the presentations and prepping all the students, and then as they go to their upcoming meetings. We also will be looking for teams to demo in the Capitol. And so Jane is going to help coordinate that. Jane, I don't know if you want to do a call out regarding those demo opportunities, but.
Sure. I will be sending out an email to all the teams I'll be recruiting FLL, FTC, and FRC. But once I get a better timeline of the event, what time we're needed there and all that, I will send out an email to all the teams, and you can reply if you're available.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Sounds great. Cool.
Awesome. Okay, so let's keep going here. Some volunteer needs. So I had this slide last time. It changed a little bit. Basically, every event almost needs the exact same things. Seven Rivers and Phantom both everybody needs judges. So please, if you are, for example, if you're a Southeastern Wisconsin team and you're not going to Phantom, but you are going to Wisco or vice versa, judge at the one you're not going to, please. There will be, moving forward with at least 3 events as we are right now, there are going to be judging opportunities, and there will be more growing as time goes on, and we will need more judges. So mentors are great judges and community members as well. Robot inspectors, always use robot inspectors. This is great for team mentors because a lot of the time, your team, you may not be needed that very first day of competition. Your team may be, just getting their bearings and getting their stuff in gear and their robot working, and you are not as essential on that Thursday or Friday at Wisco. Sign up to inspect. You can sign up just for that day and then get everybody through, all 50 teams all get in line literally at 8:30 a.m. And they just need bodies to help get those teams through inspection. After that, if you're busy with your team on Friday or again at Wisco on Saturday, that's totally cool and awesome. Thursday is the big day. Practice day is the big day. Official scores. So now that we know the game, official scores, we know exactly what they're going to be doing. They stand next to the referees, and they are going to be the ones that are counting game pieces. So this is a wonderful role for parents who maybe want to volunteer, but also still want to see their kids matches or be, close to the action. And they have a nice high attention to detail. We've all seen the reef. It's going to be chaos for somebody to count, and everybody here wants accurate scores. So encourage individuals to sign up for official scores. We need 5 of them at every event. So there's 4 every match, and then a backup to kind of cycle through. Webcast operators, again, somebody who just makes sure the webcast doesn't blow up. CSAs, kind of a similar vein to robot inspectors, but more programming and electrical focused. Another great one for team mentors with their teams at the events. Orange hats. And then safety managers. These individuals just make sure that teams are being safe and that teams are given the resources they need to be safe. A lot of the times they're just patrolling the pit, making sure that teams have their safety glasses, making sure that teams are using tools safely or loading in and out safely, that kind of stuff. Yep. So all events need all of those, except Wisconsin doesn't really need any more CSAs. I think we'll still take them. I think we're at 2 right now and could use more, but 2 is the minimum right now. We don't want to. What happened last year is we had 2, and then like both of them had to drop like within 12 hours of the event. So having more would be great. But yeah. Most of these are great for team mentors or alumni. Some of them are great for parents, and there's obviously more roles than this. But go check out on this slide some of the opportunities. There's other QR codes there that I'm realizing because I just reused this slide from last time, but the big one there should be for FRC. All righty. Reefscape, welcome. We did it. Like I said, we're in the thick of it now. Just a reminder that team updates come out every Tuesday and Friday from here until champs. Usually the last one will be like the Friday before champs, and it'll just say no more updates. Good job. But until then, we're getting updates. So team update 1 came out yesterday. It had a lot of. It was a long update with a lot of bumper clarifications and a couple just like dimensions that they got wrong. So double check if you already built some field elements. Go double check that those didn't get updated. Unfortunately, I know the cage changed by like an inch, half an inch, nothing crazy, but an amount. So check those out. And then, so we've got 2 things here. So I will be making a form here before the next meeting. Because we want to kind of gather some resources for our teams, and one of those being a lot of teams in the area are starting to have practice fields available that they have historically shared with other or invited other teams to their spaces to come hang out with them. So I want to get a list there so that we can basically have that shared, and so teams can reach out to other teams to come play on a bigger field. I know firsthand it's very hard to test autonomous modes in places that don't have carpet, or in hallways, or in just the wrong carpet, or small rooms, and so these kind of things are great. Same thing for scrimmage dates. So Seven Rivers Coalition Battle of the Bluffs has already been posted. Saturday the 15th for kind of like practice day basically, and then Sunday the 16th is a scrimmage day. So that one's there for you guys to sign up. And then Renee must have put the Isthmus one here. I don't know, Renee, if you have more information about it.
I do, because I just talked with Isthmus Engineering today, and they had mentioned that they will be doing the test run scrimmage again this season. We have a couple of rookies in the area, so I'm really excited to hear that. I'm waiting to get official information, but we'll be sharing that out once we have it so that teams can register.
And then it looks like Dave just posted from Sussex that the Sussex scrimmage is on Sunday, February 16th as well. So be on the lookout for that too. I did go check and couldn't find anything for this year. That's why I didn't include it. I didn't want to make assumptions for you, Dave. But yes, so there's some scrimmages out there ready. Encourage you week zeros to go participate and go break your robots a little bit before your first event. All right, going forward. So event schedules have been posted on firstinspireswisconsin.org. HQ will post them at some point. They've been approved. They're just waiting for HQ to kind of get back running after the holidays here. So I've linked to them all here. Seven Rivers in Wisconsin are kind of what you would expect, just that Wisconsin's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday instead of a Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Phantom Lakes is the one I've been getting a lot of questions about, and so I did put a specific snippet of it here because this is the 2.5-day event. So
Bring your whole team on Thursday.
yep.
Pits will, yep.
No, go ahead, Renee. It's fine.
Pits will open. You'll be able to do full load in, set up your pits. Inspection opens by 5. The field will open for practice field matches and then also calibration. You'll come back on Friday morning. There'll be a driver's meeting, inspection opens, and then there's measurement, calibration, practice matches until 10:30 when opening ceremony starts. Lunch is a little bit later in this schedule from 1 to 2. And then closing ceremonies is also later in the evening. Pits close at 8 p.m. So just keep that in mind in terms of the schedule. Generally, Saturday is what you're normally used to in terms of time frame. I think the only other element might be that lunch is a little bit later and you might be getting out by 6 p.m. instead of 5 p.m.
Yep. Just remember exactly like Renee started this. This is a 2.5-day event, not a 2-day event. Bring your team Thursday. You will be, I know you guys are used to loading in with 5 team members. Pits open at 3. Inspection right now is listed as opening at 5. Practice matches open as soon as the field is like ready to go. Thursday does have normal event activities. It just doesn't start at 8 a.m. like it does at a regional. Okay. 2.5-day event. But regardless,
you also don't necessarily have to bring all of your students as long as you're prepared to set up the pit and run practice matches. You know, that's if you want to send a skeleton crew to have them come along, that's what they'll be working on.
Yep, that's a great distinction. Bring the kids that you normally bring to Thursday of a regional to this Thursday as well. All right, and like I said, this is all on firstinspireswisconsin.org. There's event pages for all 3 of the events. So go do that. I know I've been getting a lot of questions for teams that are trying to get their field trip forms done. Because it was a 2.5-day new schedule kind of thing. This took a little bit. So, but I'm glad we've got it out here now for you guys to look at and to plan around. All right. I'm going to let Renee do these next couple.
Deal. I should have done this at the end. Okay, so some of the things I've heard as you know we've kind of talked through these different elements is how do I get involved? How do I provide support? You know, I've tried to raise my hand in the past and I'm not sure where that volunteer sign up form went, but I feel like I never got, you know, followed up with. And so this is the form. Congratulations. For anyone who has been on the past 3 meetings, you know that we've been sharing this form for quite a while. This one contains more details around the different areas of support we're looking to engage. And so if you go to the next slide, Greg, you'll see a breakdown of 6 different committees that we'll be creating in order to develop and expand first within our state. And so that's anything from the advocacy committee, which you've seen some of the results from that from the time it started in 2019 to today, coordinating that event, providing support for it, providing resources and training to continue to increase support and engagement. The competition committee focuses on scheduling event standards for Wisconsin and just managing the bid process for related events. Engagement committee, we have 2 contacts that are currently helping to support various regions in the area. Don't worry, Tim, I am reading the slides like a terrible presenter, so don't worry. The good news is that the engagement committee pieces, like we've started to see some success with it. As an example, we had a satellite kickoff event that took place in Chippewa Falls this year. They had about, what do you say, Tim, 100 people there? Thumbs up. And we went from there. Oh, good. Thanks, Julia. And so if you know of any social butterflies, that's what we're looking for in terms of building a diverse committee to engage with. Tim, I saw you unmute.
Oh, just going to say we had a great old time. I plundered every whiteboard inside the school building, and we divided teams up on the basis of their birthdays to mix them up into, I think it was 6 different groups. So good time was had by all.
Excellent. Love to hear it. In terms of the impact committee, that's focused on things like business development, workforce development. People like FRC is a best kept secret. That's silly. Michigan has 20% of children involved in their programs in terms of like district penetration in their schools. I'm not saying we need to get to 20%, but 2% would be nice. And so being able to kind of work on that growth would be exciting. And that's what the committee focuses on. Marketing and communications will focus on how can we share and explain the benefits of the program with the community. And then we have our volunteer committee, which will focus on recruiting, retaining, and recognition for our volunteers. And if we go to the next slide, you can see or not see, depending on what computer you're using and how often you update your Teams account, a summary of the different areas that each of these committees will work on, which is generally just what I listed out and explained verbally. So if you go to the next slide, this will cover the last 3 opportunities along with those different areas. And so this is definitely less of a individual specific event focused request for support and more of a where you're building processes, high level engagement, becoming a more mature nonprofit. Like that's where we are in terms of next steps. And so, if you want to make sure your voice is heard, if you have things that you like that you want to see continued, if you have things you don't like that you want to make sure your voice is heard, this is your opportunity. And so if we go back to that lovely QR code and link. Thank you. We will copy this link and put it into the chat. That way, if you can't, see the slides, you are able to click on that link to fill that out. If you filled it out previously, I still have that information and I will be using that to engage with you. And I would expect I'll have follow up with the various committees coming up here by the end of build season. So mid-February. All right, Greg, go ahead.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm sorry. It looks like a handful of people can't see the slides. I'm not sure why.
They didn't work when I was in the Teams app, but now I got out and used the browser and they work fine.
Neat. Love it. Awesome. Cool. Okay. Well, just in time for like the last slide. Just a couple additional resources out there. So keep an eye on the First Wisconsin blog. We've got links to like some of the Wisconsin teams participating in the Open Alliance. If we missed your team, let us know. And then other tips from the community and reoccurring posts like Brian Bites. He's got posts that come every so often. And if you would like to also be a contributor to that, just reach out. Totally open to any community members. Getting their little sections on the blog to help tips and tricks. And then another just link to the Q&A, new answers every day. Keep an eye on it. Watch for your team updates. Yeah, that last Brian Bites post actually had a couple great links for week 1 in it from like teams like Spectrum down in Texas that is really great at documentation and what they do for week 1 and how they approach it. There we go. Renee just posted it. So things like that, check them out. And I hope that helps your season. So that's what we've got for the like regularly scheduled programming. Does anyone first have any questions about anything we talked about today? I know there was a couple in the chat that were addressed. But any questions you want to ask in with the microphone? Cool. All right. Well, then at that point, this is just kind of an open discussion point. If you need to hop off, or if you want to hop off and you're sitting at a team meeting and you want to go join your team, cool, great. But if anybody's got any questions about the game or any comments about how they've approached it, how is the season gone for your teams the first 4 days of it?
Or if you have questions about the committees.
That too, yes. Go, Chris.
Hey, Greg, I was just going to offer, I know that there's something going around. There's 2 different types of algae that are out there that have different things. I know the kit of parts. I know we got I'll call them the one with the little arcs and whatnot. And then there's one with straight lines. We actually ordered from Andy Mark and we got the straight line ones as well. And we have way too many. So if somebody is looking to try the 2 different types of algae, we would be willing to make some available to teams if needed.
Yeah, I think I heard that one of them was significantly softer at pressure, or smaller. Was it smaller or softer, Chris? Do you know?
I think there is some softer pieces of it if you inflate it to the correct size. In general, really from a dynamic standpoint, they're not that different, honestly, when we've looked at it. We've inflated them both. You maybe say one is a little more slick.
Sure.
And there's slightly different colors to them. But in general, we're not seeing a huge difference in how it would affect our robot. So,
Okay.
Question.
Yes.
Sorry. Do we know which one's going to be in use in play in the events, or is it going to be a mixture?
I believe
Both
it's
of them.
going to be a mixture. I think these are both considered legal. It's all
I
from
think
the
in the
same
update they gave
manufacturer.
out yesterday, they said they're evaluating it, so they haven't officially said something yet, but I would expect they're going to say both are legal.
Fair. So if you're a rookie mentor and you're like, what do you mean there are 2 different types of game pieces that I need to worry about? Would you say this is something where it's they need to be aware about it and worry about it? Or is it something where they can use what they currently have and just make sure that the specs are correct?
I honestly
as
think
long
that
as-
you would be just fine using what you have.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think as long as you're measuring them, the measuring jigs are out there. So as long as you're measuring them and they're the right size, I don't think FRC is going to really go crazy about the texture of them.
Cool. And you said measuring jigs, and so is this something that you could put in the chat? Just so we know
It's in
about
it's in the rule book.
Oh, read the
I'll-
manual.
Yeah,
Good.
I'll
no,
see, I can-
yeah, I think it's in the cut list as well. They've have an actual, you
Yeah.
can actually create a measuring tool, or Andy Mark has,
Andy Mark
you
sells
can
it
buy
for
one,
an outrageous markup.
or I think they actually have a drawing and you can make your own.
Awesome.
Yeah, we're
Thank
making
you.
our own. So
Yeah. When I saw that, I was just really glad that this year isn't a shooting year, because that's when it would actually matter. Picking it up and kind of placing it, it's less
Well, you
important.
could shoot them, Greg.
Sure, you could. You really could. I guess that's a WikiLeaks about what we're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely.
As another quick question. So we just got a question about, did anyone receive their algae pre-order? Sounds like a couple of teams have. Fondy's order has been shipped, so that's great. So Aiden, if you're missing
Yeah,
something, keep
I
us
got mine
posted.
yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah, we got ours yesterday too. We also ordered a cage on Saturday, and that we received that yesterday as well. So we have an official Andy Mark cage if anybody wants to actually try on the actual field element and the chain and everything else. So we'll have that over at the Warrior
don't
Bots.
full speed into that cage. That's gonna rip off the top half of your robot.
16 and a half pounds. We measured it.
Oh, it's
It's in our
dense.
OA.
Excellent. Robot in 3 days. We had a couple of teams in Wisconsin participate in Robot in 3 days. I don't know if Tim's on and could share anything. I don't know if any of the Madison alumni are on and could share any lessons learned, but just wanted to call that out. And worst comes to worst, some enterprising individual can throw it in the chat.
Yep, I believe Red Raider, and then technically called first Wisconsin alumni in UW Madison team.
Yep.
Or from UW Madison or something. So check those out. And then, yeah, there's a bunch of RI3D teams. Totally encourage you guys to take a look at them, learn from what they did. And it kind of gives you a little bit of a head start. Cool. How's everybody feeling about the game? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Just do some emojis. I want to see just the flow of emojis here.
Mark's raising his hand.
Go ahead, Mark. Is that a hand raise because you want to talk, or are you trying to do a thumb?
No, I was going for the wrong thing there. Sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, I would agree. Generally lots of thumbs up and hearts. I think this is it's a fun looking game, and every day it gets a little bit more complicated for me.
It does.
I learn a little bit more every day.
I feel like the pick and place is really exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Like just like they put in so many different good components into this game. I'm excited to see what it looks like. In terms of additional updates, we did send out an email reminder about this meeting. You can find links to RSVP for these meetings on the First Wisconsin calendar. We'll continue to send out those reminders and updates, but make sure you're subscribed and, again, checking the blog.
Yes. Keep an eye on there. Cool. Like I said.
One more thing.
Go ahead.
First Tech Challenge. We will have our state championship is coming up on during week 2. So that is a March date. But if you are available to potentially be a judge or volunteer at the event, that would be awesome. We also have our first date for professional development for next season. It'll be taking place at UW Stout in May. I believe May 3rd and 4th. So we'll be able to celebrate. May the 4th be with you together. And we would love if your team has been thinking or considering starting a middle school First Tech Challenge team. This is your year to do it because we'll be entering year 3 of our google.org grant. So consider volunteering week 2. We also will be heading up to La Crosse for our first FTC event ever in the area. That is taking place on February 8th. We have virtual judging that will take place the Wednesday or Thursday before the event. And so if you are available to volunteer for that, we would love to have you participate in that event. And then we'll have a Green Bay event, and then our Madison event will take place at the end of January. Of course, we have our standard Brookfield event, February 1st and 2nd. But generally, we're pretty good on volunteers for that one right now.
Awesome. Well, like I said, this is kind of just open discussion. I've got a conversation question that has been bugging me, but I don't want to hog time, so I'll let anybody else before I ask about everybody else's strategic analysis here. Okay. What do people think about the algae? Go ahead, Mark.
It's hard.
Or whoever.
I would say, from my perspective, I thought it was like, okay, algae seemed like a bit like of a, like, it's like, probably maybe not worth it, like focus on coral. But after some calculation stuff and talking on cheap Delphi and stuff like that, I'm like, okay, you could, if you're doing well with algae, it's also it's a valid approach for your contribution to the team. There's obviously a score, like kind of more of a cap to that, but you still can do pretty well with it, especially at a level of like a regional. I think you do, especially being on Alliance. I think once you get to like world level, it probably won't, like if you're just an algae robot, probably can't do as well. But I think at this kind of the starting levels, I think it's not a terrible idea.
I think it's going to slow the field down. I think it's going to be all over the place.
Mm.
Go ahead, Chris. I know you got something. I saw you on mute.
We're you know, I would say that the way we're kind of looking at it is that there's going to be some teams where it's probably a pretty easy field element, at least to put into the side. You know, lifting it up or shooting it in or whatever. I think there's definitely a specialty around that. I think a lot of your top level teams are probably not going to focus on it, and they're just going to look at, my favorite word now is de-algifying.
De-algify. Okay, I got it.
The reef. But in general, I think that, you know, one of the comments we had from one of our students was, if we're on an alliance and nobody can do the processor with the algae, we probably won't be scoring 15 coral anyways, or we're going to be able to score way more than we need to get 20.
Has anybody ran a robot into one of them yet?
The algae. I mean,
Yeah, that's
we've-
what I was going to ask. At full speed.
They push back. If
We,
you catch one between the robot and the wall, it's gonna the audience is going to enjoy it.
we've just practiced, or we've just seen what happens when you knock it out of the reef, and I'd say it bounced about 15 times before I felt like it would be at a comfortable intaking position where you're not just chasing it around the field.
Yep.
Got a couple of algae thoughts. About the only thing I've heard complaints of is the specs we were given for making our own improvised reef really don't replicate the algae holding very well. So we haven't had a chance to play around with it too much yet. And then the other, I had an idea today. I seem to remember tropical fish called algae eaters. Can we get a little aquarium and keep it in our pit and have one kind of swimming around by some coral? Is that just a bad idea on many levels?
It's a water game.
True, and we have an algae eater, so no one listens to me. No obligations.
Can it be one of the like mechanical fish that swims in water? That would be okay.
There you go.
I mean, having open water in the pits, I feel like is a little bit dangerous. But I'll defer to the event rules based on that. It is a water
Okay.
game this year.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, at kickoff, I was very like, just throw the algae away. And just about every day I've had to sit down and reconsider. And today I had like my mind blown when I saw mention that you probably can you can double stack the algae in the net. Like it'll fit more than one row of algae. So you're like width-wise, it only fits like 8. But because it's so deep, you can probably fit all 18 on one side. And that really kind of opened, again, every single day I've had to sit and rethink the algae a little bit. And today I spent a lot of time rethinking the algae again.
I really feel like it has 2017 vibes with the fuel.
What's up?
I think it really had 2017 vibes with the
Oh.
fuel, where like fuel didn't matter until you started to get to some of the top levels.
Sure. Yeah.
And I feel that you're going to get to a point where the corals are going to be filling up, and then the only scoring options you're going to have are going to be algae, or to be able to differentiate the points. But
algae is 100% the cans of 2015. It's the only thing that is like really shared between the two alliances, and so all things being equal, the team with more algae has the advantage at the levels you're talking about. 100%.
Going to be a human player hero game too. If you got someone if you got a human player that can play some.
That's another one of the elements, like having a good human player game as well as the pick and place. That's going to be exciting.
You're looking for heights.
Having beanpole kids is going to help too.
Recruit your basketball team.
Oh,
Your
yeah.
height. You're looking for height.
So, coaches, if you were talking to a rookie coach, what would your focus generally be, or what would be like on the agenda for team meetings for this, like in the next couple of days?
I'd say design in CAD. I mean, I would hope that by now you have a good direction of what you would like the robot to do. So just figuring out exactly how to accomplish those goals, I think is, at least for us, that's the
Prototyping.
best we do right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Prototyping.
Yeah.
And
So
if you
it's
don't,
really
the-
making sure
Go.
strategy is finalized. Prototyping.
And if there's mechanisms you guys are looking for, say like elevators and things like that, you would want to see if you can get orders in if you don't have any of those for some COT systems. So I know that some of them are sold out, but they'll be getting them back in stock and
Ele-
making sure you can get orders for elevators if that's something you're looking for in your robot design.
Yeah, I
I'd,
think
I'd
all
say
the
for
Go ahead, Tim.
relatively inexperienced rookies at an early event, please make sure your robot can at least drive forward and get your alliance that point. Particularly up at Duluth at week 1, historically you see robots that sit there and do nothing, and that's just so easy. 5 seconds forward, stop.
You also, as a note, a majority of the rookies that we have will be competing at the later events. Oh, Chris, there we go. Can you mute? Thank you. Awesome. So majority of the rookies that we have in Wisconsin will be competing at our later events in the state. And so they do have, I feel like, some extra time, before the season really starts moving to get started. But as a reminder, and as in all things, your students will use all of the time provided to them in order to build, design, and not finish the robot. And so setting some type of like community engagement deadline or, demo for the mayor or insert, some individual in your local community that the students would be slightly intimidated by and want to make sure the robot is done to showcase to. That's generally a good way to ensure that the teams are processing and completing the robot and projects in that time frame before your events.
Yeah, the best thing you can do as a rookie team is sign up for one of the scrimmages so that you have that deadline at week 0. And the other thing that I always tell rookie teams is if you don't have real first carpet, take your robot somewhere with field carpet and drive it. Because I've seen multiple instances where teams have showed up even at one of the scrimmages, and basically their robot that drove great on their tile floor will eat the drivetrain as soon as they try to run it on carpet. So find that out early, not late.
All right. And again, we'll continue to, Greg, you had mentioned that we'll share the QR code and gather information about where teams can use practice fields. And then also we'll make sure that the scrimmage information is posted so teams are able to sign up and participate in those events.
Awesome. Okay. I gave my thought-provoking question. That's all I've got. So if anyone else has stuff, Chris looks like he's got a thought-provoking question.
No, I'm good.
He was
I
unmuted
do.
to say that. Okay.
Have you considered Dean's List finalist nominees or Dean's List semifinalist nominations for the team? So if you haven't yet, that would be something to consider and think about. And then your students should know about the Woody Flowers Finalist Award deadline. As a mentor, you do need to assign a student as an award presenter or as an award submitter for both the Impact Award, Woody Flowers, and I believe the mentors are able to do Dean's List. If you submit a student for Dean's List and they are registered on your team roster, which everyone should be registered on your team roster, so please make sure the consent and release forms are being processed, and you're continuing to use the express enrollment system to make sure your students are on your team via the VMS, via the team system in your dashboard. But your students will know if you have nominated them for Dean's List, and so it shouldn't be a surprise to those individuals because they should be able to practice interview questions, be prepared. You'll want to make sure that they know ahead of time that they're going to be walking into an interview with the judges.
Renee, to go along with that, you cannot nominate a mentor for the Woody Flowers if they are not in the system.
Cool. Also, if you have a mentor who has won the Woody Flowers Finalist Award, you should be able to go into the system and submit an additional essay for consideration for the Woody Flowers Award at the national, international level. I'm currently trying to find the Dean's List Award guide for FRC, so if anyone has access to that quickly, that would be helpful. You can nominate 2 per team, and I recommend, we generally have a lot of nominations for the Wisconsin, regional. There's nothing wrong with that, but it is definitely one of the most popular events to submit students for. Thank you, Kristen. What a champion. And if you enjoy the, Dean's List finalist awards work or talking with students that are some of the most exceptional students I've ever seen in the program, First Tech Challenge Dean's List interviews will take place the time frame surrounding Valentine's Day. So interviews will not take place on Valentine's Day, but around it. And so if people are interested, we now have the event up online, and we'll be doing virtual interviews for the First Tech Challenge Dean's List students. Kristen's coming in clutch here with these award links and submitted award information. Thank you so much. Cool.
Awesome. Well, barring any other discussions, just a reminder, there is another one of these in about 2 weeks. We
do have another question. So when will assignments for volunteer roles at the events start being confirmed?
That is when I go in and assign them for at least for Phantom. And then when Sam does them for Wisco, it should be soon. Joe, I'll go look. Which event did you sign up for? I know Seven Rivers.
Yeah, I signed up for Phantom since '93 isn't at that one.
Yeah, I'll go in. We Abby and I took a little holiday break on assignments and are getting back into the swing of things here. So apologies on that.
Joe, I think you put in for judging, and that's usually you're attentively in the schedule. I just haven't pushed my formal verbiage out. That's my goal for this weekend.
Oh, it's Kristen's fault then. Never mind. I'm totally a good volunteer coordinator.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah, feel free to put more in there. Otherwise, just a reminder, next event in 2 weeks. I think that will be technically after event registration is due, so I won't be around to tell you another time to pay for your events. You shouldn't need that. All of you are very used to that, but do it. And yeah, good luck. Good luck with the first couple weeks of the build season. This is the craziest part.
It's
Greg,
all worth it.
Greg, this is Jane. I have a question.
Yeah.
Have you looked at did you notice that Phantom Lakes also, besides having a team from Australia, has a team now from Mexico and Turkey attending?
Yep, we've become the
So-
de facto Midwest is full, so the international teams are coming to us.
Yeah, which is very exciting. I'm just wondering,
Where are they
generally
staying?
we try to connect them with one of our more veteran teams that's also attending that event. So has anybody done that yet? Or do you want me to look into that or?
I don't know if
Jane, if you
Yeah.
want to throw, I'm close to an airport. We got plenty of hotels around here. I got a practice field and plenty of batteries. So if there's somebody that's looking for support, we're happy to host somebody here.
Yeah, the Warrior
Because they
Bots can
get-
also host. We're about 20 minutes away from Mugwanago. So
Yeah.
Okay, so Oak Creek, Warrior Bots. And Greg, did you connect that Australia team with anybody yet?
I have not. No,
Okay.
I think. Yeah, no, I have not connected anybody.
Okay, great. I'll give one team to Oak Creek, one to Warrior Bots, and I'll find somebody else for the third team. It's just nice to have, so that you guys can email back and forth if they have questions and blah, blah, blah. So that I appreciate that. And we did that with the Mexican team a couple of years ago or whatever. And they were very, very appreciative of all the help that they received. I think Hilltoppers did that one.
yeah, I think
But
in
anyway,
Wisconsin also there's a team from Turkey, if I remember, Jane, as well. The Warrior Bots aren't competing that week, so we could also host that for Wisconsin too.
Okay.
Jane and
Honestly, if
have
they
to
want
check with
tools
our
and a pit
people,
setup,
but
we could
we're-
give them that too.
Well, that's just it. I generally tell the teams that they're coming from, quite a distance, don't bother bringing any tools because all you other teams have plenty of tools. And they literally, like when the Mexican team came, they built their robot, they took their robot apart, and each student had a piece of the robot in their luggage. And so then when they got here, they had to reassemble it.
Yeah,
So
that was New Zealand too.
Yeah, because weight limits and everything, and batteries. I think that was another bugaboo because shipping batteries is really very difficult. So, okay, we'll keep that in mind too. Maybe if you guys have some extra batteries, you could loan them while they're here.
We can figure it out.
That would be great.
Batteries can't fly.
That's what I'm thinking. So that's
No,
why if you guys have batteries to
batteries
share,
are prohibited from flying.
yeah.
Yes. So,
Okay.
I think as we get closer to the event, maybe Jane, you can send out a reminder email for teams to bring or share extra batteries for the upcoming event.
Okay.
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 So Jane, Greg,
Yo.
Renee, and Laura. We learned last week that the rookie team in Sun Prairie may need some help. By all appearances, they have their administration registered the team and signed them up, but we don't think they have a coach or any mentors or any students yet.
So we've been working this week. We've been connected with some of the alumni at UW Madison. So
you did.
fingers
Yep.
crossed that they are on the right path.
Yep.
Okay.
And
So
we've,
Are they
we've
Sun
had
Prairie School District?
meetings. Yes.
Our assistant superintendent just moved over there and she's a big fan of the program. I'll get contact information for her.
That'd be great. We have been in touch with them. So I think the kickoff piece was maybe a odd one-off situation. But we've had a number of meetings. The Whitewater team was able to go and visit them with a robot after the Slate conference. So yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I think they'll be ready to go by the time the week 6 event rolls around, but it's good to be aware.
Awesome. Okay, well, if there's any other questions, I have to roll here in a couple minutes. I can still leave this go and Renee can take control of it.
Nope.
Nope. Renee says no.
Hard
Okay.
stop.
Hard
Yep.
stop. All right. We got 30 seconds. Any last 30-second comments before we all just wave and go panic at home with our teams again?
Wow,
FTC in
I'm-
6 minutes. Love it.
Yep.
I'm panicking already.
Yep. All right. Thanks everyone for joining. We'll get this posted here soon for folks that couldn't listen in or watch in. And yeah, good luck for the next couple weeks. Reach out if you got
See ya.
questions. Use the Slack. Use the Slack. Reach out. Bye.
If
Thank you.
Like, what if we had that goes